What's up guys, it's Scott here and welcome back to FudgeMuppet. Today I have a brand new Fallout 4 build to share with you all, and this one uses a really fun and unique playstyle. A playstyle which revolves around having insanely high stats, basically switching on God mode to devastate your foes. This is the Unyielding, our crazy stats build, and by crazy stats, we don't just mean 10 in everything, more like 20 in everything. This build will level insanely fast by the end game with a sexy 26 intelligence that's over double maxed out intelligence through normal means. Similar numbers will be the case with your agility, yielding crazy action points, luck giving unlimited crits, and the strength to bash a Deathclaw to death with a mop. The Unyielding faced much adversity as a youth, and that continued into his adult life, but no matter what colossal hardship confronted him, the Unyielding overcame, thriving on the fear and the vulnerability, going against the astronomical odds and prevailing. The Unyielding shines when he is good as dead. The more enemies on his back, the more bullets flying at him, the more powerful he gets, and when his health drops low from countless wounds, he turns into an unstoppable titan. His stats immediately skyrocket, making him inhumanly fast, strong, resilient, lucky, and intelligent. And I'm not exaggerating again. With the Unyielding legendary armor effects on this gear, he will have stats in the 20s or very close to it for most of his stats. This will take a while to farm, but once it's set up, the effort will be rewarded. His foes would truly be better off running, for getting the upper hand over the Unyielding is actually a disadvantage. Before we get into the build, don't forget timestamps can be found in the description below to help you navigate throughout the video. But with that said, let's kick things off with the Unyielding's backstory and basic values. The Unyielding was born in the suburbs of Boston. He had two younger sisters, a mother who worked part-time to raise her children, and a father who had formerly served in the military. During his early days, when he was barely old enough to run around and occasionally catch projectiles, his father took him into the garden to throw a small toy football. This was the Unyielding's favourite part of every day, and from the age of 5 to 8, he could count on his hands how many times he or his father hadn't been able to play. But soon after he turned 8, they never played again. His father was taken by cancer, and the Unyielding had tried to bury the memories of the experience in the back of his mind. His father's dying words, however, stuck with him every moment of the day. "Look after your mother and sister for me. You're the man of the house now." He had been ushered out of the room by the nurses before he'd had time to properly process the request, but he had nodded, and hopefully that was enough of an assurance to send his father contentedly to the other side. From that day forward, he vowed to protect his mother and sisters through everything. He learned to ride a bicycle, and within a month he had a job delivering the daily paper. He even delivered the Sunday paper, making a little bit extra. Supporting his loved ones didn't mean relaxing on the Lord's Day. When he went to high school, he joined the football team. Holding a football had opened old wounds in his memories, but that only motivated him more. He found out that when he was most afraid and the most vulnerable, he was the most capable and would always pull through. The Unyielding wasn't a hero quarterback receiving all the glory for an equal share of the work. No, he played his favorite position, and easily overlooked one. He was the offensive tackle on the quarterback's blind side, and as long as he was on the field, the quarterback was never sacked. Despite great success, potential scholarships at prestigious universities, and the interest of a beautiful popular girl from his school, the Unyielding felt compelled to enlist for military service. He knew that he would put a smile on the old man's face, wherever he happened to be looking down on him from. He promised to call the pretty girl, whose name turned out to be Nora, as soon as he came home, and then he packed his bags for the chilly northern state of Alaska, where the US Armed Forces were kind enough to send him. Many of the men dispatched to Alaska and him voiced their fears loudly in prayers and conversations. For some reason, the Unyielding felt no fear. He enjoyed it when the odds were stacked against him. What fun was overcoming a hurdle half his height? Nothing the war could throw at him would hit him harder than losing his father, and he felt as though he could leap a mountain if he had to. The men of his squad were friendly, albeit weird, but he loved them like a family from the moment he met them. He had insisted on treating them like his kin regardless of first impressions, for he was a born provider and would protect them against anything. And when their squad was sent to the front lines, his commitment to that promise was put to the test. They were far from the base. He could barely see the lights of the staging area through the snow, and as the men hunkered down in the bunker, Chinese rounds whizzed overhead. Each bullet renewing their anxiety as they flinched and thanked God they were still breathing. After a long day of stalemate, the Reds broke their lines and the US forces were called to retreat. One of the Unyielding's brothers, the first to vault out of the bunker, took a round to the leg. He screamed and fell into the snow, staining the ground around him in a fresh warm red. The Unyielding had no intention of leaving a man behind, and he threw the wounded brother over his shoulder. He moved slower now and had drawn the attention of many attackers, but he kept running. He focused on his breaths, deep in, sharp out. Even when the bullet hit him in the shoulder, he kept his mind on his breathing, and then the next thing he knew, he was safe. The man on his shoulder was worse for wear, but alive. The deed soon made him famous at base camp, and many men argued about what on earth could stop the Unyielding. But that question was soon answered. The Unyielding was forced to retire early with an unforeseen heart problem. He was immensely frustrated, as he always knew how to take a beating, yet somehow completely out of his control was the thing to take him out of the game. His doctor suggested that he relax for a while, maybe even raise a family. The thought of that comforted the Unyielding. He could still be a protector, just back at home like he used to be. He visited his mother and sister, leaving them some of his handsome pension, and called Nora. And while the doctor had been right, his heart problems had subsided. He was never able to serve in the military again before the bombs dropped on Boston. Upon waking up from stasis, the Unyielding won't spare a thought for the world outside. He will be overcome by guilt, almost to the point of no return. He failed his wife, he failed his son, and he had failed his mother and sisters back home, who had lived miles and miles away from the nearest vault. But like always, the Unyielding will overcome, rising higher to overcome whatever plight faces him. The worse things seem, the stronger he becomes. When the Unyielding feels vulnerable, his instincts kick in and he becomes unstoppable, even if inside and outside he is in immense pain. He will learn the wasteland inside out, making a game plan for how to thrive and survive, as he has a knack for doing that throughout his life. When he discovers Unyielding armor pieces, he will search for more of them, and when he has them, he will be able to take more risks. Early on though, he will be cautious, not throwing himself into danger until he knows how to overcome it. The Unyielding armor pieces grant +3 to all stats except endurance, and will make this guy an absolute super soldier when he is below 25% health. So until we have 2 pieces, we'll try to stay healthy. But after that, the Unyielding pieces will represent his never say die attitude and unlimited desire to survive and emerge victorious. We'll have 5 pieces of this Unyielding armor, giving us a massive +15 boost to all stats, excluding endurance when low on health. When this guy is on the cusp of death, his adrenaline kicks in and it's mind over matter. There's nothing he can't do when adversity threatens to overpower him. The Unyielding can easily fit into the Brotherhood, the Minutemen, or the Railroad. Anywhere this guy can find a way to protect people and have some sort of justice. All of these protect the Commonwealth in their own way. The Brotherhood may act more like a primary military organization, making harder decisions the other two may not be capable of making, but remember that we will not be using power armor in this build, so keep that in mind. The Railroad fight for those at the mercy of the Institute, and as a protector, the Unyielding can easily adopt their mindset. They are stealthy, and so is he, and his skills can be put to use here. The Minutemen seem to suit his personality the most, as their view of the good of humanity and creating a thriving civilization from the rubble aligns with his own views. It definitely comes down to your preference. Discipline, justice, and military camaraderie will be best found in the Brotherhood, compassion and protecting the most vulnerable best found in the Railroad, and the greater good of society and family values will be found within the Minutemen. At the start of the game, the Unyielding special stats will be 2 strength, 1 perception, 10 endurance, 1 charisma, 10 intelligence, 3 agility, and 1 luck. The special book in Sean's room will go into agility. Aside from bobbleheads and stat investments to strength and agility, the Unyielding will be practically godly in every stat when his health is below 25%, making this build viable in every area. With that in mind, let's talk strength. So we have a former offensive tackle who worked to provide from the age of 8. He also served in the frozen wastes of Alaska, rescuing a wounded man from the closing jaws of a Chinese attack. Need I say more about his strength? He may start the game with only 2 points in this stat, but that will soon jump to 6 as he adjusts to the post-war world, and then the Unyielding effect, that could go to 15 points or higher. Endurance is a key stat from the get-go and resembles his mental and physical fortitude through the countless hardships he's overcome. This may not receive benefits of the Unyielding armor, but it will make him reliably formidable and also give him the best chance of surviving when at under 25% health, so you can benefit from all of the stat boosts to every other stat. Intelligence is another of the Unyielding's important stats, and while it took the backseat to his endurance and strength in his early life, his keen ability to tackle anything and everything stretches beyond the physical. He will soon learn how to make the best weapons and armor, and he'll be prone to nerd rage, making him an even tougher cookie to crack. And finally, agility covers the Unyielding's movement and sneaking, both of which he's an expert at. Now that we have his exact start game stats, let's have a look at the Unyielding's essential perks. First up, we had strength, and he'll want to invest 4 points into the overall stat, bolstering it to 6. Big leagues comes later, and this will give him the edge regardless of his proximity to enemies. Football taught him to be physical, and he's an expert with heavy melee weapons. With big leagues, you'll do double damage with melee weapons, hitting all targets in front of you with a chance to disarm, cripple, or even grand slam your foe. The other perk from strength is armor, and this will keep your armor in tip-top condition. 3 points of this will give you access to rank 3 armor mods. We will then want to take one perk from the perception skill tree. This is rifleman, and with all ranks taken, attacks with non-auto rifles will do double damage, ignoring 25% of armor and having a chance to cripple. Remember, as is the case with his other lower stats, 1 point perception will not hinder your perk choices for the most part, as when the Unyielding hits his sweet spot of under 25% health, his perception will immediately jump up by 15 points. From endurance, we'll also take one perk, and this is Adamantium Skeleton. With this perk maxed out, you'll be completely immune to limb damage. Adamantium Skeleton is especially important because you probably won't want to be using stim packs to heal yourself when you have a broken limb, because that would take you over 25% max health, and then you'll lose all the stat boosts. From intelligence, we'll be taking the following 3 perks. The first is Gun Nut, and with this fully optimized, you'll have access to all gun mods you could need. Then drop 3 points into science for the first 3 ranks of high-tech mods. Finally, take 2 points of the Nerd Rage perk. With this, you will gain 30 additional damage resistance and do 30% more damage when your health falls below 20%, as well as slowing time. So that's a neat effect, especially considering you will quite often drop from below 25% health and down into 20%, and then you've got the time slow and the damage boost because you're spending a lot of your time below 25% health for those super stat boosts. As I said, agility is a key stat, especially after you drop 4 perk points into the base stat. After that, take all ranks of sneak. With this, you are 50% harder to detect, you won't trigger mines or traps, running won't affect stealth, and engaging in stealth will cause distant enemies to lose you. Then take Mr. Sandman. With this perk, silenced weapons do 50% more sneak damage, and you can instantly kill sleeping people. Action Boy comes next, and with 3 ranks of this, action points will regenerate 75% faster. After that, take all 3 levels of Ninja. This will make ranged sneak attacks 3.5 times more powerful, and sneak melee attacks will do 10 times more normal damage. Finally, from this stat, there's Blitz, and this massively increases VAT's melee distance, and the further you charge with a melee strike in VATs, the more damage you'll do. Once you hit level 50, you can continue to dump points into strength, or you can pick other stats like luck to invest into, as you'll be leveling at very high speeds with that boosted intelligence. With all this in mind, your playstyle will be pretty straightforward, utilizing VATs for blitz melee strikes from the shadows, or sneaking around the outskirts of battle, either attacking with a rifle or shotgun from the shadows is another. Either way, the essential part of your playstyle revolves around your health more than anything else. Once you take enough damage and find yourself at 25% health or less, you'll be an unstoppable beast and can go on a rampage without worrying about subtlety. This is really important. Ideally, you want to be stealthing around with less than 25% health all of the time, so you can take advantage of all those incredible stat boosts, and especially that incredible leveling, which will get you to other perks sooner and help you level up faster. At the end of the game, excluding gear but including the special book bobbleheads and perk point investments, the Unyielding special stats will be 7 strength, 2 perception, 11 endurance, 2 charisma, 11 intelligence, 9 agility, and 2 luck. With gear including, you can add plus 15 to all stats except endurance, so as long as you're on low health. Also, your underclothes will boost your endurance to 13, so 25% health won't feel too low. But this is a stealth build for the most part, so that helps you survive with only a quarter health. The Unyielding will wear the torn shirt and jeans as a base layer for the plus 2 endurance boost. In terms of armor, he'll wear the Study Polymer Combat Armor for every slot except the headpiece. You will want to have farmed the legendary effect called Unyielding. Use whatever unyielding armor pieces you can find until you achieve this. Remember not to keep health low until you have at least 2 pieces of unyielding gear, otherwise you won't see the benefit. Once you have 5 pieces, you'll be a god. Use the ultralight mod on the chest piece with weighted on the arms and sleek on the legs. His helmet will be the nanofilament synth field helmet. As for weapons, a fully upgraded combat shotgun with a suppressor makes for a great all-round weapon which won't ruin your sneaking. Then we'll have a fully upgraded Gorse rifle with a suppressor for huge damage at longer range. When you're up close or when the jig is up and you're spotted, the fully upgraded shish kebab will be your go-to choice. Other than this, the only thing to remember is plenty of food items to restore health. This will allow you to restore some, but not enough to spoil your unyielding benefits. In order to have the most success when sneaking, we will not be taking a companion. If you really want one, a tanky companion to act as a distraction or meat shield is definitely viable. The unyielding will not be worrying about settlements unless you choose to side with the Minutemen, and then you can do whatever you see fit to achieve your goals with them. And there you have it, guys. Subscribe to FudgeMuppet if you'd like to see more Fallout 4 builds just like this, and if you think it deserved one, maybe give the video a like. This has been our crazy stats build, the Unyielding. Don't forget that timestamps can be found in the description below for all your video navigation needs. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. My name is Scott, and I will see you in the next one.